Please welcome the great Isabelle Huppert. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's hard to believe it's been 10 years already since this movie. It was such a sensation in Cannes that year, and obviously went on to have a great international success. And you personally won many awards, including the Golden Globe, and were nominated for the Oscar as Best Actress. When you kind of reflect 10 years on from the experience of the movie, what are kind of the strongest memories that you carry with you from the film?
So many, not only one. Well, of course, my encounter with Paul. In fact, my encounter with Paul was, through the big screen. It was way back before. I remember seeing Turkish Delight. I think I was still going to school after I saw this film, and I was, completely fascinated by I don't know if anyone in this room has seen this movie, but of course, the first one, Turkish Delight, with, I think, Vogler and yes, one of the Dutch actors, and then, well, I would have never imagined that years after our path would cross, and I would find myself doing this film, which did not occur really naturally, because originally he was going to do it in America, and finally, well, he ended up doing it in France with the French actress. And the whole journey was really, really wonderful, because as much as strong and quite maybe sometimes difficult to watch the film was, the shooting of the film, the making of the film was the total opposite, and the other way around. It was so easy and so nice and so wonderful, especially the terrible scenes. It was a lot of fun, and although I think Laurent almost hurt me at some point, but it wasn't, his fault. Just the energy of the scene was such that
An accident.
Yeah, an accident. But it was. And Paul was so easy, and he kept saying, "Well, I don't have much to tell you because you are a woman and you know more than I do anyway, so I'll let it to you." It was okay, now back to the question. Yes, maybe the strongest memory I have of the film was the ending of the film. I don't know, really, in my life as an actress, the last shot, is always something very peculiar and strong, when you hear a cut for the last time, and I hear a cut. I knew it was the last shot. I don't exactly remember which scene, but I remember it was, I lie down for like 20 minutes, and it was, something, and at that moment, I realized what I went through for the past 10 weeks or 12 or so. And it was a very strong moment, that sense of relief. And in those moments, you just, it's like you go backwards, in a second. And I thought, my God, how did I do it? If I had to do it again, I'd never do it again. Impossible.
Can you talk a little bit about when you first learned about the project and Paul approached you about it, and were you familiar with the novel by John that's the basis for the screenplay?
Yes, I can't remember if I had read the book before. I guess so. Yes, I usually read Philip John's books as many other people. He's a really well-known writer, and so yeah, I read the book. Well, actually, yes, I did read the book, and I thought, in fact, he wrote it for me. I felt so familiar with the book, and in fact, he did say, I don't know if he's right or not, because Philip can be sometimes, I know him quite well enough. Well, let's say, yeah, maybe it was true that he did write it thinking, maybe not about me doing it, but thinking of someone like me, that he was inspired by someone like me. So no wonder when I read it, I thought, yeah, that book is for me. and then side by side to write, and but initially, yes, Paul wanted to be in America, and yeah, finally didn't do it in America. I'm sorry.
And I know you said in the past, and you kind of just alluded to it now, that he didn't direct you very much, or that there wasn't a lot of discussion about the character. So what were your conversations about the work or about the approach, if it wasn't about the, let's say, Freudian deconstruction of Michel?
Well, every day, every morning he would come as I was getting ready, and he would just technically explain to me how he was going to shoot the scene. That Paul really liked doing this. He told me, I'm going to do this and this, and then I said, okay, fine. But yeah, and then you can, yeah, in a way, as you get hair and makeup, figure out exactly how it's going to be in the scene. And so he would, yes, come every morning and explain to me what was going to be the staging of the scenes. And that was it. And then, yeah, we did it. And but in a movie like this, I never. We had discussions before, and I knew he wanted to go sometimes far in some of the scenes. Although I never felt overexposed or in danger. Never. I always felt it's the same kind of feeling I had with Michael Haneke doing this supposedly terrifying scenes in a reality show. I never felt any sense of being in danger or being too much exposed. I felt, yeah, connected in a way and totally safe, which was nice, because I'm not very brave. I would never like to feel that I'm in danger or I feel bad or no. But with people like this, yeah, and I thank them for that.
When you read the novel and you felt this kind of connection, what were the things about Michel as a character or about the story that were strong for you, or that you were feeling that connection?
Well, I think it's a kind of story and narrative that goes in a way against some kind of predictable narrative or way of doing. So I felt that, and this is what really attracted me, because it never goes on some kind of familiar path. On the contrary, it goes constantly, like, I always said that that movie was on the razor's edge, but never fell on the wrong side, in my opinion. Maybe in someone else's opinions, yes, it did fell on the wrong side, but not for me. I think it's as Paul would say, it's a revenge movie. That's why it's a revenge movie with his accent, you know. It's a Dutch accent. And it is a revenge movie, in a strange way, of course. And it's really what I really liked about it, taking the risk of being, questionable with many, especially with many recent things about a woman's attitude, and but at the end of the day, but also I think the danger to be on the wrong side of that age, of this razor's edge, was very, very thin. And I always thought, if there was a list of, for instance, at the end of the film, when he dies, and in a way, well, it's not even her who kills him. So the revenge takes this strange path, but finally he dies. But then I thought, if there was a least little sentimentalism with this death or emotion, then of course you went to the wrong side of the story. But because the line was always kept, so at the end I think I was totally safe, and no, for me, possible controversy.
You mentioned your work with Michael Haneke, and I think when Elle came out, there were some of the writing about the movie kind of saw this as a sort of culmination of a strain in your work of, we could say, provocative movies pushing the boundaries of sexuality and violence, and cinema movies with people like Haneke or Marco Ferreri or Tremblay or Claude Chabrol, and I know an actor doesn't necessarily set out with some sort of master plan for the movies that they're going to make. You've made over 100 of them, but do you, looking back, see some connections in the roles you've chosen, the filmmakers that you've chosen to work with, in terms of coming back to some of these areas of discomfort for an audience, or unconventional approaches to taboo subjects?
Yeah, well, the connection would be me. But I don't know, I never saw the bad where maybe someone would see the bad. I always, yes, took it as a very, always interesting and in a way, at the end of the day, even in a way emotional or touching exploration of certain relationships. I never had any sense of danger again, and of something. And well, of course, there is a great amount of ambiguity and complexities, but the complexities there not to reinforce a feeling of danger or of something backward. On the contrary, it's there to go even further in the comprehension of some of these ambiguities and attitudes. And of course, if you start having any moral, well, first of all, what is moral? Because I think in a way those movies are moral. It depends where you put the idea of morality of ethics. But I never thought that yes, there was any danger, or that the morality was particularly threatened. I don't know. No, I never saw this. And because also I think sometimes in literature, for example, you don't come up with the same kind of questioning. If you read Dostoevsky, for instance, or Crime and Punishment, the man kills, and you don't you don't come up with moral judgment. But maybe cinema sometimes is more scares more people because it's a more immediate emotional process, and what you would allow in other kind of representations of human ambiguities and complexities, you accept it more in even like maybe in paintings or other kind of representations than in movies. That like movies was meant to maintain a certain amount of
decorum. This movie, despite its subject matter, is also quite funny in many places, and it deals a lot with people kind of lying to themselves about certain things, like Michelle's son, about the true father of his child. Like, was that part of the conversation between you and Paul about what the tone of the film would be and how to have these things kind of live side by side with each other, the satire with the brutal reality of the rape that's at the center of the movie?
Well, the conversation with Paul had started way before just watching his movies. I mean, you know what he's capable of, whether it is Robocop or the woman, which one? Showgirls or whatever. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, you know where you set foot when you work with someone like Paul, and it's just a way of pursuing the conversation that has started before, way before just watching his movies and liking his movies. You know the tone of someone like him, and being navigating between extreme provocation and yet such a sense of trying to capture something so accurate and so true about human behavior. That's all. Yeah.
You're here within the context of a retrospective. As we just said, you've made over 100 films in 50 years. It's over 150 films. You were just at Cannes with a new film. You do theater extensively when you're not making movies. What keeps it all alive and stimulating and interesting for you after that long run?
Something very simple. I'm afraid I just like doing it, and I do it very easily. I should be able to say so. I'm not particularly brave nor hard worker. I'm really lazy and courageous. So yeah, I do something that I like doing, and I mean, when I do it under something so simple, and well, I imagine before I do it or before starting doing it, maybe ever since I was born, I just deliver something really, that I need to deliver this way. Otherwise, it would be loaded and like a big burden. But I just found the right way to deliver this, and it seems to be the right way for me at least. So yeah, I just go on.
Well, I'd love to take some questions. Okay, and as in here, right.
So I've seen this movie multiple times. I saw it in film school, but the final assault scene is very interesting in the way that you portray the character, because it's, like you said, very ambiguous in the way that she's doing it, especially with the car scene where she sort of like pushes him to come after her. How did you go about with that scene to create that moment? Because it's like, it feels like at a time she's wanting it, but also wanting to fight off. It's like going back and forth.
I'll just repeat for anyone who is that question about the final assault scene and the ambiguity in the moment of Michelle seeming to both push her attacker away, but also draw him near, and how you navigated that is in preparing for that scene.
And this is the last scene? I don't remember.
Yes.
Well, I guess always with the same kind of ambiguity between attraction and repulsion, because it's exactly also what the movie dares to explore, this kind of attraction, but also with a sense of revenge finally. And so it really, I think it's up to anybody's perception and approach to the film to decide how you position yourself with this kind of behavior. It's the kind of movie which, like all, well, great movies, I shouldn't say that because, I mean, it's not for me to say, but which operates also more like a series of questions than ever giving answers, and it's up to, and I think that's really the input of any great movies to operate like this, raising questions and for people there, which can be different for each spectator. You do one thing, but you have millions of answers, millions of perceptions, and I really think that. And especially for a movie like this.
Yes.
So here in the US, we talk a lot about technique, and
In France too.
yeah, that's good. That's reassuring because we watch a lot of scenes from your movies at Stella Adler, where I train, and I'm just curious if you had one piece of advice for an actor. And I'm so in awe that you say that it comes easily for you, because for a lot of us it doesn't. So if you had one piece of advice to say to an actor, what would it be?
I think I would, I don't know, I'm not very good for advice, but I would try to transmit the idea that cinema is really movie making and technique, precisely, because those directors, like, Michael and Paul Verhoeven and Chabrol and many others that I've been working with, it's very much about technique that you cannot really disconnect from the making. You don't make movies like this, just being emotional. I mean, the emotion comes with the territory, but cinema is mainly about technique, and it's so what was I going to say? I don't know. I remember. No, I forgot. No, but okay, I remember. I would say that always to remember that cinema or movie making is like a language, and this you feel very much as an actor or an actress organically this sense of language, and that's why you don't have to go too much through explanations and words, and well, some people do, and it's okay they do, but there is literally a kind of physicality that operates through the technique. So whether you have been filmed in close-up or whether you have been, I don't know, anything which is precisely movie making, and also how you relate as an individual to the environment, and that's, and it's really, it fulfills you, it gives you inspiration, and much more than really thinking about the character. Because I was never very much into the idea that I'm doing a character. Yeah, I always thought, because the character never really meant much for me. It takes you away from you, and it's when you act, it's more about you doing different states of mind more than really a character.
Yes.
As an American, this film feels very French. Is that something that's true for you?
What?
As an American, the film feels very French. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, Paul is Dutch, I'm French, John is French, and we speak French in the film, so no wonder that. But if you mean that being a bit, comment on dit, like this, that is French instead of like this.
I remember Paul saying in the interview that the American version of the movie, the third act, would have just had to be about revenge. And that instead, in this movie, it's about this ambiguity of how he's actually responding to this man who raped her.
Yes, for me, ultimately it is about revenge, but yeah, but it depends on how you position yourself in this journey. And obviously, let's say, one can tell that she has a certain amount of pleasure, or pleasure, just the way of, playing with, yeah, like it was almost intellectual game that she plays with the risk of, being physically, of course, implied into that kind of game. But it's more because it's an intellectual and thinking and thoughtful way of taking that revenge, and not being letting yourself being overwhelmed by. She's in control. Yeah. She went through something that supposedly, of course, if you are a victim of what she's victim of, you lose total control. And it's really the story of someone who wants to regain total control of what she has gone through, and how she wants to really heal herself from what happened to her.
And what happened before with her father.
Yes, also, because, back to the past.
Over here, yes.
Bonjour, merci Isabelle de nous rendre visite à Los Angeles. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the roles that you're taking on at this stage in your career. I know that your new film at Cannes is about a vampire.
That was in Berlin.
Oh, yes.
Germany didn't like vampires.
Do you feel like you're being drawn to different genres or different kinds of roles at this stage?
Same kind of roles as ever, not different. I did play this bloody contest with Bleak. She's a German director. The movie was in Berlin, and about this first vampire woman contest that Bleak was taking blood of many young girls. But the movie is more like almost baroque fantasy, and it was a lot of fun to do. To be a vampire, that was nice. And then, yes, I did this movie with Isabelle Huppert, and so, yeah, I have nice opportunities. Always.
Yes, here.
Was the cat a good co-star?
A question about your feline co-star, the cat.
Oh my God. I'm happy you come with it. I love this cat so much. I'm doing movies with dogs. So, like Malawi, a movie where I was a drug dealer, and I had a big dog, by myself, and I was good friend. I'm not a dog person personally, I'm more a cat person. I have a cat myself, and I love my cat, and literally in love with my cat. Telling you this little secret about my private life. But this cat, no, honestly, I was used to when he's a trained dog, and it's always very fascinating the way the dog operates and is literally controlled by like it was by a computer, by someone who happened to be a woman. And the cat was trained like a dog, I mean, oh my God, this scene when he jumps into my arms, when I get into the house, 16 times, boom. I was fascinated, the big cat, and it was jumping into my arms, like this action. Amazing. And I love having this cat. Thank you for your question.
I think we have time for one more over here.
Hi. First of all, thank you for your contribution to cinema and art. I have two questions. One, what is the breed and name of your cat?
The name of my cat?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
You have like such a cool, calm, and collected persona and aura, and I was wondering if you have a silly side.
The first question about the name and the breed of your cat, and the second one is that you seem as a very kind of calm and cool persona, but do you also have a silly side? And if so, how does that express itself?
Yes, I have a big silly side. Yeah, don't you have? Yeah, but also I'm trying to be also as gentle as possible. I think when I do movies, I like being nice and gentle. Yes, no, really. There is no need for being anything else, as long as I know that all my bad sides and not confessable sides are going to be anyway, in my roles and where I'm. So it's very comfortable. So I can allow myself to be as gentle as possible, and I work with really nice people. So it's the least I can do. And as for my cat, I call him my lover. Every time I see him, I say, I love you. Yes, I understand him. I cannot say that.
Isabelle Huppert, thank you for